This conference will now be recorded.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is it Jyoti?
Uh-huh.
Hi, Jyoti. How are you? How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. This time works for you, right? Like we shifted it to evenings for you.
So you're fine with this time?
Yeah, because evening all my friends would be there. It's like little too distracting.
Sure, sure. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. So, fine. We were talking about like today we thought of talking about the interfaces and abstract classes,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, yeah.
Yes, tell me, Jyoti, you're saying something?
Oh, I thought I'll tell you like little bit about what I know about abstract and interface so that you can see
Yeah,
what I know.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, abstraction is about hiding certain details from the user, as what we have discussed in the OOPS concept, and it can be achieved through um, classes and interfaces, and by
Mhm.
using the keyword abstract right before the classes or the class or method name. And in the classes, we cannot create object. If we mention abstract front of the class name, we cannot instantiate it like we cannot create object with it.
Correct.
And in the abstract classes, we can create abstract methods. Also, we can create normal methods. And
Right.
this abstract class should definitely be having a subclass which says extends this class name, the abstract keyword name. And all the
No.
methods will be defined inside this
Right.
subclass. Whereas in the class methods, if you come, they won't have any body. We'll just have the name in the abstract class and the body definition will be given in the subclass. And for all the methods, you need to have definitions. If not, then it's throwing up error because all should be defined, like overriding should happen.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Right. Right then. And yeah, coming to the interface.
Coming to the interface, it also almost acts like the abstract class. You have to mention interface in the main class, and once you try to implement that in the subclass, you have to use implement instead of extends because it shows multiple inheritance, which is not actually showed by Java. Like you can implement two methods, kind of multiple inheritance, and then this also same, you cannot create object from it and you cannot write the body for the method.
Okay.
Um,
Multiple inheritance you're saying. So multiple inheritance is you're saying how the multiple inheritance you do?
yeah, like you can inherit more than one class.
More than one class or more than one interface?
More than one interface can happen.
More than one more than one interface if you implement, that is called multiple
No.
inheritance. You're saying that?
No, like in Java, we don't have multiple inheritance. Like we can inherit more than one class, it cannot be done. But whereas in interfaces, we can implement more than one interface.
Okay. So that is called
Uh, it kind of shows multiple inheritance.
okay. But there is no multiple inheritance. We doesn't call multiple inheritance. In
Okay.
Java, there is no multiple inheritance.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
inheritance is only possible with the classes. We have to say
Oh,
inheritance can only be done with the classes, not with the interfaces.
okay.
There
Okay.
is
Yeah.
no concept with the interfaces with the inheritance. There is no relation.
Mm-hmm.
Classes only, with the classes only we can do inheritance. That's the concept actually.
Okay.
Interfaces, whatever you do, that is not multiple inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not called.
Okay.
And you, if you are extending, if you are able to implement multiple interfaces,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what if I have the same method in the same interface? Interface I1 is there, I have some M1 method. Interface I2 is there, I have some M2 method. So if I implement both the interfaces, if I implement both the interfaces, so what happens to my class?
I don't know.
Don't know.
No.
Hmm. So that we call it as diamond problem. What we call
Diamond problem?
diamond problem? Diamond problem means an interface, our interfaces are different interfaces. Still, if you are defining the same method, okay, out of if the method is same in the interface, so this leads to a problem called implement. At the time of your class implementing, then the problem comes. Which method it has to implement? Then the problem comes. Are you getting me?
Okay.
So this problem we call it as they'll expect a question, such kind of question. What
Mm-hmm.
if an interface is two different interfaces has the same method and if you are implementing, or else they may ask you what is the diamond problem in the Java. Diamond problem in the sense, so the interfaces will be having a same method. So then your class where whichever is implementing leads to a confusion, and that is called a diamond problem.
Okay.
So that's the reason we are trying to avoid implementing multiple interfaces. And when you are implementing, you should make sure that it should not contain the same method signature. Are you
Okay.
getting me?
Okay.
This is one of the interview question.
Oh,
I mean, important thing.
okay. So,
And
how can we resolve this just by changing the method names or the type of the
That's what
written type.
you should make sure. You should make
Okay.
sure that
Okay.
the methods should not have same prototype.
Okay.
Prototype in this, I mean, signature, not prototype. It should, we can call it as signature. Signature in the sense, I mean, the written types and the name of the method.
Okay.
Okay, so
Everything.
you should make sure that.
Okay.
And an interface can extend an interface. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, an
Extend
interface
implements.
and an extend, it can extend an interface, but
Oh,
cannot
yeah.
implement.
Yeah. Yeah.
It cannot implement any interface. Okay, so one question for you: when you go for interface and when you go for abstract class. One moment, Jyoti, one moment, please. Ha, Jyoti, tell me. Your name is Jyoti only, no? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah. If you want to do like semi implementation, you might want to use abstract class because you can extend the subclasses and interface. If you want to provide like both abstract class and interface and the parts of it, maybe we will use interface.
Semi implementation, then you'll go for abstract classes. And so you mean to say that partial implementation?
Yeah.
That is called a partial implementation. When the partial implementation is there, then you'll go for abstract classes. When when you want to go for not partial, if you want to go for complete, so then you'll go for interfaces. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Can we define a method in the interface?
We can kind of initialize it, but the body method must be written in the subclass.
Okay. There is a possibility from the 8th onwards. Version 8. In the Java 8, from the Java 8, we can define a method.
Okay.
So that method we call it as default method. Are you getting me?
Okay.
It was till Java 7, we don't have defining a my interface is my interface name, and in this I'm going to have some methods. Hello.
Yeah.
So I would like to provide a body for a method. Let's say declare it as default. Declare it as default. This is my
Interface.
default method. Let's say, I mean,
Okay.
default method, and this is my interface. You got it right? So I have an interface which is containing the implementation. So far we got to know that we cannot provide the implementation in the interface, but from the latest versions, from the 8th onwards, we can provide implementation. Are you getting me?
Okay.
So this Java vendors has given, because sometimes if I want to add some new methods, if I want to define some method and I would like to made available that method to my entire project. In that case, instead of creating a new interface, I'll define a method, and that method I'm going to make it available. I'm going to make it available to all my classes. Are you getting me?
Okay.
So in that's the reason they have provided such a facility. It was not there till 6th,
Yeah.
7th.
Okay.
Let's say my class, something like that. The class got created, so immediately it is asking me to implement M1. So it is an optional for me. If I want to use that I'll use it. Okay. Otherwise, I can also override that method.
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
The
Empty
one.
method. So that means default, it is nothing but you cannot override. So default method, even after you're providing the body, it is giving you an opportunity to provide an implementation. So this annotation is suitable means it makes sure that the method what you are using, that is you are overriding it from your interface.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the advantage of your default method. Any questions for me?
Nothing.
There is another way. Also, we can have a method in the interface. That is, are you getting me? That is
In static.
static. You are aware of this?
Yeah, we discussed in the last class
Okay.
regarding
So fine.
static panel. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. No problem. So I have an option to use it, but static method, can I override it? Let's check it out.
It's throwing an error.
That's the problem over here. I hope you got it.
We
So
cannot.
the difference between the default method and the static method is you can just use that method. You can call the method, I mean, but you cannot override the static method. So there are two ways to define a method in a method body for an interface, by using a static method and by using a default method. So default method will allow you to override that method, but static method, will allow you to provide a method implementation in the class. But your static method will not allow you to override that method.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference between your default method and the static method.
Okay.
Hope I'm clear, Jyoti.
Yes, you are.
Public static void main, and so an abstract class and can extend another abstract class. That's fine.
Mhm.
So when you go for interfaces and abstract classes, and the team lead will be taking care of which one should be created as an interface and which one created should be created as an abstract class. So abstract class, we cannot be able to create an object because abstract class is an incomplete class. Can I be able to create an object for an
No,
abstract class?
no.
Why? Because it is incomplete. Abstract
Yes.
itself, the meaning of it is the right way of telling is the right way of answering is it is an incomplete class.
Mhm.
That's the reason we are not allowed to create an abstract for an abstract class an object.
Okay.
Can we create an object for an interface?
Oh, no.
Have you tried anytime?
Uh, I think it will throw an error. I didn't try. We cannot create object for sure. I mean, I've seen examples where it says if you try creating an object from it, it's gonna throw you a compile time error.
You sure, right? Mhm.
Yeah.
So have you heard about something called functional interface?
No.
So Jyoti, you're watching it, I hope.
Yeah.
So what's happening here?
Well, you created an object with the interface,
Okay.
and then you have overridden the M1 function that we are actually supposed to, kind of implement it in the subclass.
All right. So this is actually this is the way we can we call it as anonymous class.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't know the term functional interface, but I know, you can write it like this. The function, it can be written in the void main too. I just don't know the name.
Okay.
Anonymous class, yes.
Got it right.
Yeah.
That's fine. So this is an anonymous way of implementing an interface. If and that too. Come on. Fine. That's good. So when you're doing such kind of implementation, again, you should not implement the interface. Are you getting me?
Mm-hmm.
So if I implement over here, it is applicable for my entire class or something. So instead of that, an implementation for an interface, I can provide something like this.
Okay.
I don't need to, my class doesn't need to implement.
Mm-hmm.
Where I require, I'm going to provide the body for that method directly.
Okay.
So this is one way to provide implementation. We don't know this. This is a class. This is an interface where I'm creating an object and the method, whatever is there, for that I'm providing implementation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if I write implements over here, my duty to override that method somewhere else. Are you getting me?
Okay. Yeah, we're supposed to override if we just give the function definition.
Right. Now I have another method. Two methods.
Mm-hmm.
So like this, we have to override. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you are clear with this.
Yes.
And that is about interfaces. Interface can extend another interface. Interface cannot can implement. An abstract class can implement interface. So you are aware of them, right? Abstract class
Mm-hmm.
can implement interface.
Okay.
You are aware of it, right?
No.
If I have an abstract class, that abstract class can be implemented by my interface. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to try?
Yeah, once.
Once you just try it, you'll get it.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
So abstract class, you just write Jyoti. That's your part.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm taking that.
Yeah.
And abstract class can implement interface.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Okay, that is called adapter classes. We call them as.
Adapt. Yes.
Okay, adapter
Yeah.
classes.
Mm-hmm.
So when it has a lot of methods, so we don't want to provide our class to be implement all the methods. Then what we do is we'll use some abstract. We'll create some abstract class, and we provide some dummy implementation for those methods. And whatever is required, those methods only we will again will redeclare it as an abstract.
Okay.
Okay, which
Okay.
I don't want to provide a implementation. So those methods I'll be redeclaring it as abstract.
Okay.
That's it. So
Okay.
try for that. And
Yeah,
that's all
sure.
about interface and abstract classes. And
Okay.
any questions you can ask me.
Nothing as of now. I'm good.
Okay, I think we have missed regarding abstract and interfaces. Nothing. Just let me have a look. Anything we have default methods. So multiple inheritance, please remember that if anyone says multiple inheritance we are doing with interfaces, that's not okay, that's no. So
Okay.
if anyone says also, the Java vendors told that multiple inheritance, there is no multiple inheritance in Java,
Okay.
because inheritance is only a concept between classes, not between
Okay.
interfaces.
Okay.
You getting me right?
Yes.
Interface example, bank, SBI, BNB, multiple inheritance. Here he has given, but there's no multiple inheritance.
Okay.
Only with the interfaces here they'll say, but not say that.
Okay.
There are some wrong way they are delivering. Double show. It's not supported through classes in Java, but it is possible by an interface Y. In case of intro. Default method, static method we discussed. What is the marker or tagged input? Yes, there is an interface, something called marker or tagged interface. Marker interface. Are you aware of it, Jyoti?
No.
Very important.
Okay.
So an interface which contains no methods.
Okay.
It doesn't have anything. So then why you are making it as marker?
Interesting. Yeah.
Marker means you want to mark it. So it for indication, some indication. So I would like to serialize an object. I have to write a logical code. But to make understand that I'm serializing something, what I'll do is my class it implements serializable, so that I don't need to check whether the class has been serialized or not.
Okay.
I'm marking my class as serializable, where it doesn't have a where serializable interface doesn't have any implemented methods. To make sure your class is a serializable class, that means you know what is a serialization?
No. Maybe something to get an order, but I don't know what serialization in Java.
Yeah, writing an object into converting an object to data. Actually, we are going to serialize, and later on we are going to deserialize.
Okay.
Okay, stream of characters you would like to convert. So then byte of characters or byte data, some binary code you want to convert object data to binary. So then you have to write you have to serialize the object. Sometimes what happens is you need to pass the objects as an inputs. So in that case you have to serialize your object.
Okay.
Are you getting me?
Mm-hmm.
So marker interface, if anyone asks you, or you need to say an interface which does not contain an implementation of any methods, then
Okay.
why it is marker interface or tag interface?
For serialization.
For
Serialization.
not for serialization. There are many other marker interfaces, Jyoti, here.
Oh.
Many other
What's
marker interfaces.
oh
That purpose
serialization
is to
is
tell, that purpose is to tell to the developer that they are meant for something.
okay.
They are meant for something. That's it.
Okay.
So it tells that if I say clonable also doesn't contain any methods. It will not contain any methods. Still my class is, if it says clonable, it means that I'm trying to implement I'm trying to clone that object. Duplication, I'm going to create that for that object, where I'm going to logically I'm going to create it. But still clonable interface does not contain any methods. If my class is implementing that interface means we are going to manually writing some methods to
Okay.
clone this
Mhm.
to tell to the someone who is going to see, oh, this class is implementing clonable. Okay, here he's performing in this class he's performing clonability,
Mhm.
and okay, this class is he's performing for this class he's making serialization.
Okay.
So that is only for to make the developer to understand, but logic they have to write internally in the class only. They have to define some methods, new methods, and they have to write in the class one.
Mhm.
That is called marker interface or tagged interface. Hope I'm clear.
Yes.
This is very important.
Okay.
There are many marker interfaces.
Okay.
See, there are you predefined marker interfaces. Can we create a marker interface? Yes, why not? I'll create an interface and just I don't write anything.
Anything in it.
Then that's it. It's an interface, marker interface. So nothing. I don't need to override.
Yes.
Are you getting me?
Yeah.
So, but I'm getting to know something when I come to this class. Okay, this
Yes.
class is implementing a my interface. Okay,
Mhm.
so suppose if I say serializable, so still if I say serializable, implement it, I don't need to override it.
Okay.
Anything. Are you
Mhm.
getting me?
Mhm.
So where am I writing logic for the serializable? I need to manually write it somewhere else if I want
Okay.
to serialize it. So that means I'm going to tell, okay, this object in future I'm going to serialize. So whoever want it, they can access it.
Mhm.
Are you getting me?
Mhm.
So that is about interfaces and abstract classes. That's it. And let's see. Hope you are aware of inheritance. Let's have a quick glance. So you
Okay.
know what is inheritance? Inheritance between should be done between the classes.
Yes.
A class can extend another class.
Mhm.
So why do we need to extend a class?
So that
So
we
when
can
we
reuse the code, and
okay,
if we have errors also, it is easy to modify it, since it is the
okay,
same thing that is being inherited in every class.
okay. So when we don't want an existing functionality, and also if we would like to add some other extra functionality.
Mhm.
So parent has some properties. Child will be having his own properties, and
Mhm.
also he will be by default he will be getting a parent properties.
Mhm.
It's apart from the parent properties, he has an advantage to have his own properties also.
Mhm.
So the purpose of inheritance is getting the parent class functionality, having its own functionality, and also getting a parent class functionality automatically.
Yeah.
And in that case, when you extend a class, this relationship we call it as is a relationship.
Mhm.
The relation between these two classes we call it as is a relationship.
Relationship.
Makes sense?
Mhm.
So types of inheritance.
Single inheritance, multiple inheritance is not there, sorry, multi-level hierarchical.
Okay, hierarchy. Multiple is not supposed to multi-level only. So single inheritance,
Mhm.
we know that a class will be
Mhm.
extending another class. Multi-level means class extending another classes.
Mhm.
So dog extends animals, cat extends animals.
Mhm.
Called why multiple inheritance is not supported with the classes. If they have the same method, then the problem comes. If I extends, suppose you, and that's the reason they are not allowing us to extend a single class. We can
Mhm.
extend only
Okay.
one class.
Mhm.
So otherwise, if they have same implementation, so which method to be called, then we'll be getting a confusion. So that's the reason we don't have that kind of. And so this relationship, you need to know inheritance is nothing but is a relationship.
Relationship
What we call,
is a relationship.
and there is another relation that is called has a relation, and this is also called aggregation.
Mhm.
If you have a in between classes, if you extend a class, then it is called is a relationship. But if you are going to get that object in another class where they don't have any other relation, then it is called has a relation.
Relationship.
These two are very important. Is a relationship and has a relationship.
Mhm.
Very important. Aggregation. So I have a class, and this class, like say operation I have, and
Mhm.
that class I need it in my circle class. In that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable of type that particular class. I'm
Okay.
going to use it. So I'm going to have that type of a class as a variable, and then I'm going to delegate it to the method, to my local method. And in
Mhm.
this case, still the class functionality I'm going to get it.
Okay.
Still the class functionality I'm going to get it. Okay, that means I'm going to call the method. So in that case, I'm going to call by using a method reference, object reference in any other method, and I'm going to get it. So this relation is called as a relation.
Mhm.
So when to use a aggregation? Easier means we know that when you go for easy, the thing is the complete object functionality you'll be getting by default.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you have an option to override it,
Mhm.
but you don't have an option to override it. Here you can only call them. You can only use them. Are you getting
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
So if an employee has an address class can get it as a variable, and here we are doing the same thing. So somehow you are going to get that information. So that is called, we are going to establish some relation. Understand the meaning of the example with the has a relationship. Here address is a separate class. This class functionality, employee has a dependency on that. Employee
Mhm.
has a dependency on that. Employee doesn't need to every employee doesn't need to extend the interface. When you extend, that will become parent child. That is a different story. Parent child will become a different story, different
Mhm.
methodology. But having that object, how many how many classes you will extend? At a time you can extend only one class. What if
Mhm.
I would like to get multiple functionality implementations? Go for has a. If this
Okay.
class needs multiple classes, it has a dependency, then I don't go for inheritance. I go for has a relationship only. I'll get that reference somehow in any method or somewhere else. I'm going to get that object, or else in my method or somewhere I'll create an object and I'll pass that reference to employee
Mhm.
as a parameter. So now this is going to be have as a relationship.
Mhm.
Hope you got it.
Yes.
So when to go for is and when to go for has a. When you
Mhm.
have to get a multiple classes dependency, if your class have, then go for has a
Has a
relationship.
relationship.
So and that is a product from the existing company, then go for, then it's a existing one. So then go for
Is
is a
a
relation. Makes sense,
yes.
Jyoti? Okay. So right, when you are doing inheritance, The main thing what you have to remember is we are performing overriding. Overriding. What is overriding? Overriding, if you want to do, the classes must need to have a relationship. What is that relationship? Extends. So when you're doing extends means what you're doing? You are performing inheritance. Yes or no?
Yes.
If any class is extending other class means that's it. It's performing inheritance. So here we call it as overriding. So what is the difference between overriding and overloading? Overriding is something we need a same signature, including the method name, including the type. Everything should be same. Just I want to change the functionality. I want to differentiate with the functionality implementation.
Okay.
So then I'll go for what do you say, method over. So if you want to perform method overriding, you need inheritance.
Okay.
Are you getting me? When do we need inheritance? If you want to perform method overriding, inheritance is compulsory.
Okay.
That's it. So, and when you're performing inheritance is nothing but classes will be having is a relationship. The method must have same parameters as in the parent class, and the method have the same name in the parent class, same name. So instead of that, we can say same signature.
Okay.
Return type and everything should be same. Run. So the same run method if I'm using, and I don't want this functionality. If I want, I can get the superclass functionality. Or if I don't want superclass functionality, I'll be redefining. That is called method override. So here comes the question: can we override a static method? Very important question. So static means it's class level. Static is only belonging to that particular class or that particular interface. You cannot override that static method. Remember this. Overriding. If I declare in a superclass the method as static and I'm trying to override it, can we? No. Static means it is bounded with the class name. It is not object level. Can we override Java main method? No. We are doing okay. We are overriding no. We are overloading it. Are you getting me? So there is something method overriding with the access modifiers. We have different access modifiers, right? Private, public, protected, and a default. So obviously we cannot override a private method. Can we override a private method? Not at all. Private means it is belonging to that particular thing only. If I create an object dot even MSG,
We
I'm
cannot
trying to
access it. I mean, method we can. Oh yeah, that's private. No, we can't access. Yeah, we cannot access the variables. We cannot access the method also.
So if it is a default method, if you don't declare anything, that is a default method. Package my part. Then you compile time error. Directly you are creating an object of that particular class, and okay, they don't have any relation, right?
I mean, package is different.
So okay, here he's not talking with the class this thing. That's the reason it's taken to the last, I think. One moment. Here this is important because the classes doesn't have any relationship, then we cannot do anything. Okay, so here class A has a method MSG, and it is extending. Extending means by default it will come. It might be a default method or it might be a public method. Okay. Default method or public method, we can override it, but a private method, no. Hello,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, fine. So here, what if I want to restrict my method as to be overridden? What I have to do? Then I have to declare it as final.
Okay.
How do you stop overriding a method? How do you stop overriding a method? By declaring it as
Final or
final.
making it. Mhm. We can make it private also, right? But with private, we cannot access.
So I have two methods. One is private method, another is final method. Two
Final.
methods.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now what I'll do is no. Okay. Why should I create a separate class? Uh,
Maybe it's not in the same package.
okay, I've created somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not in the project. I'm allowed to override that method also. Okay, but now I'm trying to override a final method. I cannot override a final method.
Yeah.
Check whether it's remove the final modifier over there. It has identified. So the class has got relation, it is got it. But whereas if it is a private method, we have an option. But they are in the different sessions. It is in the same class. Okay, so I mean, if they okay here, that's okay, fine. We have to see in some other way also. But strictly, final means final says that you cannot override the mod. So how do you restrict a method to be overridden? So simply by saying declare that particular method as out of 5 methods. If I say final method, that particular method, so one method will not be override. There are some scenarios where you don't need to, you're not supposed to override it. In that case, I'll be going for it. Make sense? Any other questions or something? Give me a minute, Jyoti, one moment. Huh?
Sure.
Oh, charging is less. So method overriding we are dealing, and so we got to know that if we declare a method as private and we can redefine in the subclass, we have seen that. Okay. And if you want to restrict the method as a method to be overridden, the only way is declaring it as final. Okay. So any questions on method overriding? Any doubts or any questions for me for method overriding?
No.
You're clear with that method overriding? Example of method overriding. Real world. That's it. Extents. Can we override a Java main method? No. You can overload it. More topics on exception handling with method override. If the superclass method does not declare an exception. So if the superclass method declares an exception, this I have to explain with you with the exception handling.
Okay.
Not. So like coming to the overloading. So what do you know about overloading?
In the overloading, we use the same signature but different parameters. Like depending on the situation, it executes different function.
Okay. So what is the difference between overloading and overriding? No idea.
I'm just not able to pinpoint.
Okay. So overloading must be in the same class. We know that. Overriding means
It can be different.
between the different classes. So overloading is called as a static. Is called a static polymorphism. Overloading is called a static polymorphism, and overriding is called as a dynamic polymorphism.
Okay.
So that means I have a superclass method and I have subclass method. Which method to be called? So who will decide that? Runtime the JVM decides. Are you getting me? Who will decide?
Runtime JVM.
Runtime JVM decides. But for the static polymorphism or method overloading, we call it as static polymorphism or method overloading. This will be decided at the time of compilation time. At the time of compilation time, not at the time of running time. Overloading is called static polymorphism, because the deciding of method implementation will be find at the time of a compilation itself. Method overriding, when you override a method, so the calling of a method will be decided by the JVM, and that's the
Okay.
reason we say it as a runtime polymorphism.
Okay.
So that is a major difference between
Overloading and
overloading.
overriding.
So overloading is a concept of a static polymorphism. Overriding is a concept of a dynamic
Dynamic
polymorphism.
polymorphism.
So because method overloading can be decided by the time of compilation time itself. Overloading can be done by overriding decided by the
Run.
runtime by the JVM.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason you make sure that the method signature should be different. That means by changing the parameters or by changing the return type, we
Mm-hmm.
can overload a method. Changing the parameters, changing the number of parameters, sorry, changing the type of the parameters and changing the number of parameters. You're aware of them, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is something more we have to see into. Means I just wanted you to look into that.
Okay.
Byte to short, byte to short, byte I can take, short I can take.
Typecasting.
Okay,
Mm,
this
okay.
this is called overloading and type promotion, we call it as type promotion. Two, we can promote it. One type is promoted to another implicitly if no matching data types is found.
Mm-hmm.
Implicitly. Example of like the type promotion. Here int long I have given. Here int c I have given.
Mm-hmm.
So now int literal will be promoted to long. Typecasting will be there. This example of method type promotion, if matching found. Type promotion if matching found. Int a, int b, long. Okay, fine. If matching both are mapped, now this is okay. Now which method will be called? That is the story. Int method
Like
will be called, or
int one will be called.
int one will be called. Why it is calling that? Now int arg some method gets invoked. Type promotion. Short to int to long. So
So
it
for
is
this int already got satisfied, so it didn't go to long.
mm. And this is okay here. Example of type promotion in case of ambiguity. Okay. So here the question comes here. Int a long b, long a long b. Now it leads to compile time error. If same family, then it will consider it as int only. But if they have something like this, int a long b and long a int b, something like this, so the mapping is not found. Int to long, it's okay, or int to something else. But here this is int to long and long to int, reverse order you are coming, so it is not possible. Int if you give and long if you give, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Type promotion is possible, but int and long to int you are doing, so it leads to ambiguity and it leads to compile time error. If there are no matching type arguments in the method and each method promotes a similar number of arguments, so this leads to ambiguity. So
Mm-hmm.
have a look into this and just have a look into what are the differences between overriding and override. I told you
Sure.
what is static polymorphism and dynamic polymorphism. So if
Yes.
anyone asks you, so types of polymorphism, you should say static and dynamic. So static can be achieved with overloading, and dynamic, polymorphism
Over
can be overloading.
overriding.
Simple. Okay.
Sure.
Any questions for me, Jyoti, so far?
Oh no, nothing.
You have any questions? So please let me know. So in the next class, I would like to cover up super and instance final and runtime polymorphism. That's what same. Runtime means overriding only. So there is one point I have to tell you when we are discussing about overriding. So that I'll discuss here in this part.
Okay.
And That's of operator. So we'll wind it up in these things in the next class, and then we'll see. We'll have a. If you want me to go to the package and access modifiers, let's have a quick glance on these things, and then exceptions, and then we'll go with the what do you say, threading concepts or string concepts are there, threading and string concepts. So these things we can discuss. Okay.
Okay.
So then after that we'll start up. If you want me to teach AWT, I'll teach. Collections is there. Collections after that AWT will see, and after that JDBC will start up.
Okay.
And after that all the differences between different latest versions and all, we'll have a look into that. Okay, Prashanti. So if you have any queries, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll wind it up for today,
Yeah,
and
sure. I'm good.
we'll continue in the evening tomorrow. Same. Okay.
Okay. So it's gonna be Monday to Friday, right? I haven't had a chance.
Yes, Jyoti. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Yeah. Thank you.